Have you ever wondered how Europe, a relatively small continent, managed to exert its influence across the globe? It all began during a period known as the Age of Discovery, a time that marked the emergence of modern Europe. This era was characterized by extensive overseas exploration, driven by Europeans' insatiable curiosity and their desire to chart the unexplored world. But the motivations behind these voyages extended beyond mere curiosity. The Europeans were in search of new trade routes to the east, driven by the allure of exotic spices and precious metals. They were also propelled by a fervent desire to spread Christianity to the unconverted corners of the world. And of course, there was the ambition for territorial expansion, the thirst for new lands to claim and rule. Thus, the stage was set for the European conquest, a period that would change the world's face. This marked the beginning of a far-reaching wave of exploration, colonization, and exploitation that would span several centuries. As the European powers embarked on their quests, a new world order began to take shape. It was a time of discovery and conquest, a time when the map of the world was rapidly changing. Let's delve into the chronology of this fascinating period. Our journey begins with the voyages of Christopher Columbus and Vasco da Gama. Columbus, an Italian explorer in the service of Spain, set sail in 1492, crossing the Atlantic and reaching the Americas. His discovery of the New World opened up a wealth of opportunities for the European powers. Around the same time, Vasco da Gama, a Portuguese explorer, found a sea route to India in 1498, bypassing the traditional land routes dominated by the Ottoman Empire. This discovery was a game-changer, establishing Portugal as a major player in the burgeoning world of maritime trade. As the 16th century dawned, Spain and Portugal were the early leaders in this race for global domination. Spain, under the rule of Charles I, established colonies across the Americas, from Mexico to Peru. The wealth of these colonies, particularly in gold and silver, fueled Spain's rise as a global power. Meanwhile, Portugal, under the leadership of King Manuel I, was making its mark in Asia and Africa, establishing colonies in places like Goa, Malacca, and Mozambique. But Spain and Portugal were not alone in this quest for world domination. England, France, and the Netherlands soon joined the fray. England, under the rule of Elizabeth I, established its first colony in North America, Virginia, in the early 17th century. France, under Louis XIV, and the Netherlands, under the Dutch West India Company, also established colonies in the Americas, competing with Spain and England for control of these new lands. From the late 15th century to the 17th century, the European powers, driven by a thirst for wealth and power, navigated unknown waters, discovered new lands, and reshaped the world in their image. From the Americas to Asia, the European powers had managed to spread their influence far and wide. These conquests would forever change the course of history, setting the stage for the modern world we live in today. The European conquest wasn't just about territorial expansion, it was a catalyst for profound global change. Let's delve into the main impacts of this era, starting with the spread of Christianity. As European explorers traversed the globe, they brought with them their religious beliefs, which often supplanted local religions. Christianity, particularly Catholicism, became the dominant religion in many parts of the Americas, Africa, and Asia. This religious shift had profound effects on local cultures, changing not just spiritual practices, but also social norms and traditions. In addition to religion, the Europeans introduced new crops to the lands they conquered. Foods like potatoes, tomatoes, and maize, which were originally native to the Americas, became staples in European diets. Conversely, European crops like wheat and grapes were introduced to the Americas, dramatically altering the agricultural landscape. However, it wasn't all positive. The Europeans also brought with them diseases like smallpox and influenza, to which the indigenous populations had no immunity. These diseases decimated local populations, leading to significant demographic shifts. One of the darkest legacies of the European conquest was the transatlantic slave trade. Millions of Africans were forcibly transported to the Americas and the Caribbean to work on plantations, forever altering the racial and cultural makeup of these regions. But there was also a cultural exchange that took place. European literature, art, and music found new audiences abroad, while indigenous cultures influenced European tastes. This exchange of ideas, aesthetics, and technologies enriched both sides and contributed to the global culture we know today. In the long term, the European conquest led to the creation of new nations, many of which still exist today. It also marked the rise of the West as a dominant global force, setting the stage for centuries of geopolitical power dynamics. In conclusion, the European conquest was a pivotal chapter in human history that reshaped the world in ways that are still evident today.